I'm Carol Young. Welcome to Community Chest. Community Chest is a program that spotlights nonprofit organizations in the Kingman area. If you're a nonprofit organization and you would like to appear in one of our shows, contact us at 718-3600. That's 718-3600. Now today's show is going to be on the Railroad Museum, and I have with me as a special guest Dave Bacon, so don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Community Chest. Our show is on the Railroad Museum today, and I have with me Dave Bacon, and Dave is the president of the Whistle Stop Railroad Organization. Dave, I want to thank you for being on my show today and welcome you.
Well, thank you for having me.
The first thing I'd like for you to do is to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the railroads.
I was born and raised in Hamburg, New York. I have been interested in railroads since I was a youngster. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a railroad engineer. But when I graduated, the railroads were going bankrupt and trying to merge and stay in business, and of course they weren't hiring. Mm-hmm. So I went on to be what my grandfather was, an auto mechanic. Oh. And I did that all the rest of my life. And I had my first model railroad when I was 14, and that just happened to be 60 years ago. And I've had model railroad layouts off and on over the last 60 years. Do
you still have your first model railroad?
No.
Oh, that would really be worth something today, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you got involved by building.
Right.
The
building
tracks.
Model railroads. Put the track down. I made my own control panel when I was 14 years old. That was pretty interesting.
Were you involved with other kids building?
No. Not really. I've mostly been a do-it-yourselfer all my life.
So what brought you to Kingman?
Well, when I was self-employed back in Mexico, New York, up until 1994, and I had finished shoveling snow one night. It was up to my shoulders, and I went in the house, and the Discovery Channel had a segment on the Ford Proving Grounds down here in Yucca. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I had been talking about moving to Arizona to set our roots and retire out here. So I saw that article and I said, man, what a place to work. So I had my wife call them on the phone the next morning, and they had just put an ad in the paper for certified mechanics. And I got hired over the telephone.
Great opportunity there, too.
Yes. I left Mexico, New York on a Sunday morning at 7:30, and I arrived in Kingman at 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon.
Did you take the train?
No, I drove my motor home with a trailer full of tools and my motorcycle, and I went to work at the Proving Grounds May 2nd of 94.
Okay. Well, you know that the railroad's really the background of our country, and I think Kingman was even formed because of the railroad going through.
That's correct. Lewis Kingman supervised the construction of the railroad from Winslow to Needles, and he got as far as Kingman and decided that should be a stop because there was a supply of water for the steam locomotives, and he put up a boxcar as the first station, and named the city after himself. And
Kingman has a lot of railroad history.
Oh yeah, there's pages and pages of history.
I don't know, did we have a Harvey House here?
Yes,
I'm not sure if we did or not.
We had a Harvey House. It stood right next door to the depot, and right where 4th Street is. And it was in business until 1938, and they closed it up, and then right after World War II, they tore it down. Okay. It, of course, belonged to the railroad, and I guess they had no use for it anymore, so.
You belong to the Whistle Stop
Railroad Club.
Railroad Club.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your club.
Well, we first started meeting at various restaurants in town back in 2009. Then we decided that we should maybe do something for the community and have our own place to meet. So we had elections, and Mervyn Fried was the first president, and he was offered his garage for us to work out of. And we set up a couple layouts in there. We had open houses and yard sales where we'd sell some of our excess equipment. Mm-hmm. And that went over real well. And we also decided that maybe the museum should be put in at the train depot. Mm-hmm. And so we worked with the city, of course, and we finally reached an agreement, and we moved into the museum in the first week in July of last year.
Mm-hmm. So let's get back to your club a little bit. How many members did you have in your club?
We've right now have about 22 members, and it varies. Some people, if they have physical difficulties, they can't make it in or something, they drop out of the club. But we average right around 20 people.
Okay. And I know you had, every now and then you gave rides. You have a larger train.
We did when we were at Mervyn's house.
Okay.
He has the train that you can ride on.
Okay.
But of course we don't have one down here.
But you used to do that quite often for the community,
Oh,
that
yeah.
you would give
Oh,
kids
yeah.
rides and
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I remember it was off of Willow?
It was on, you got me.
It was down on the other side
Yeah,
of Harrison
right,
and down.
yeah.
So do you, when you have people come and visit you and look at your trains, do you give them a history of the Kingman Railroad background?
At the museum? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We kind of touched on the Harvey House a little bit, and I know maybe some of our audience doesn't know. What did the Harvey Houses represent, and how? Why were they built?
Fred Harvey was a restaurateur, and he contracted with Santa Fe, Etchison, Topeka, Santa Fe Railroad to build restaurants near their train stations to serve fine food, and they had also hotel accommodations, and he expanded. He had restaurants at Needles, Kingman, Ash Fork, Flagstaff, all the way across northern Arizona and into New Mexico. There was a big one in Albuquerque.
Okay. They were quite popular.
Oh yeah,
And
because they served really fine food. The ladies they called Harvey girls served the customers, and they all dressed very neatly and had uniform.
It was a very nice upscale
Right.
place to go to, and they did have rooms too.
So they cooked fresh food. It wasn't anything preserved or.
And they were only along the railroad routes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the service was fast enough so a person could come in and order a meal and eat it before the train left the station.
Okay.
So it worked out very well, and Fred did quite well on that venture.
I think there are a couple of Harvey Houses still in existence that are
Yes.
probably museums or hotels.
There's
maybe even still.
one in Winslow that's still standing, and also one in Needles that they're renovating right now.
Okay, all right. Your club, how do you get your funding? How did you get your funding for your club?
Well, at the beginning, it was dues, the club member dues. Mm-hmm. And then we sold quite a collection of railroad equipment, locomotives, cars, and that sort of thing to people who were building their own layouts.
Okay.
And now that we're in the museum, we charge $2 a person, and we take donations, and that's our funding at present.
When you, as your club, did you do fundraisers of any kind to
Not
money?
really. When we got ready to move into the museum, we applied for and received
Some
startup money from the Tourism Development Commission and approved by the City Council.
Okay. So as a club, what did you do as a club? Did you just get together and share your own experiences? Or?
Yeah, we would do that and also plan for our next project, which mostly was the museum. And that took up most of our time.
A lot of time, a lot of planning and,
Right.
and strategy, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Do you still have the club in existence, or?
Oh yeah, yes, the club is right now. We volunteer at the museum, greeting people and showing them around the museum. And
Do you need members? If somebody wanted to become a member, how would they go about being a member of your club?
We can always use members. Best thing to do is to stop at the depot and pick up a membership form.
Okay.
And you can fill it out and turn it in right there, or take it home and fill it out and bring it back. And we don't refuse anybody.
Okay. What are your membership dues?
The dues now are $30 a year or $3 a month,
Okay.
whichever is easier for the person.
Okay. All right. So if anybody wants to become a member of your club, they can just stop in at the museum and get an application
Right.
and
Yep.
fill it out and pay their dues, and
Yep.
then you meet. When do you meet? Do you
We
have a
meet
monthly meeting?
on the first and third Saturdays of every month at the museum,
Okay.
and we discuss different issues that we have, either with the museum or something else. And
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll go into the museum as to what you're doing there and your open house.
okay.
Stay tuned, don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Community Chest. We're talking about the new Railroad Museum in Kingman, and I have with me Dave Bacon. Dave, we talked a little bit about how you came to Kingman and got involved in railroads, and we talked a little bit about your club. Let's talk about the museum itself. How long has it been since you first started the planning of moving into the depot?
We started planning probably at least a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And of course, we went to many city council meetings and hashed it over with the council and everybody else, and finally came up with an agreement that was agreeable to both parties. And
I kind of want to go into a little bit about the museum, because we did have to renovate it. It took a few years before the city did get it all completely renovated, and then there was the opportunity for some retailers to move in
Right.
there and to rent it, and you were one of the ones that did bid on it, and
Right.
I know council accepted the bid. And let's go on from there then as to what have you done in there since you moved in?
when we first discovered that we were going to actually be in there, we started building the framework for the layouts at my house. And we got that all done, and
And how long did it take you to build the layouts?
actually we're still building.
Okay, well, it's an ongoing process.
Oh, sure. To do what we did now, we moved in on the first week in July, and we had the framework, of course, all built. All we did was bring it down here on a trailer and put it all together, and then we put the plywood on and risers for the tracks, and finally put the track down. And by September 15th, we had the trains running, and we had a soft opening at that time. invited people in so they could watch us actually work on the layouts.
I remember a year ago when the train depot was rededicated again after we got it renovated. You were in there, you came for that open house, and you had it set up for the public to come and see. I was amazed how many people came and looked at your models, the kids especially.
Well, the kids love it. We had our portable layout that we have had on display at the Powerhouse and Locomotive Park and Mojave State Bank. And that day, Arbor Day at the depot, we had set it up there, and we counted over 250 people came in that day, which made us quite pleased.
At that time, you had already decided you wanted to go into the
That's
the
correct,
depot.
yeah.
So, yes, it was a very good opening for our train
Yeah,
station.
It was, yeah. There was a lot of people there, and people showed a lot of interest in it. And that interest is still there.
Did you get any volunteers for your club from that meeting, that opening?
I think maybe one or two, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I know the planning stages and the strategy planning has taken quite a while, and your funding. You did have to go to our tourism department, and
Right.
what did you have to go through there?
Well, I had to fill out an application explaining why we would need the money and why the museum should be put where it is, and would it increase tourism and things like that.
Well, it's a perfect place. It's right there by the railroad itself.
It is.
And
Yeah.
I think, increasing tourism, every time I go to the Powerhouse and I see a lot of tourists from out of state or even from another country,
Right.
they're always walking down to the depot to look at the train station. And even when the trains go by, they just stand and listen.
Right.
So, a lot of train enthusiasts out there.
Since we opened in September, we've had well over 2,000 visitors from 48 of the 50 states and many countries around the world.
Do you keep a log?
Yes, we do. Yeah, our guest book, yes. And we've had people from, most popular from England and Germany. We've had people from Australia, New Zealand, Uruguay, Japan, China. Just amazing the number of people that actually come in and enjoy our
Trains.
displays. Yeah.
That's great. And it's good that it's not sitting empty there, too, because the trains don't stop in Kingman until very late at night.
Right, yeah, Amtrak stops late at night, yeah.
Yeah, so, getting started, your funding, the tourism gave you a little bit of money, some seed money to start with. Will you be able to be sustainable now, or will you have to go back to them another year?
No, we won't have to go back to them. We're sustainable right now. In fact, grand opening day, I'm going to present a check to the city for the amount of money that we did not use out of that seed money.
Great.
And eventually we want to pay the whole amount off.
Okay, great.
And
And normally they don't expect you to pay it back.
normally they don't.
And so
But
that's really good.
We appreciate the city and the Tourism Commission for letting us have that
Stepping
money,
up
and now that we are self-sustaining, we can pay it back.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the exhibit itself. How big is your exhibit there in the?
The room itself is 23 by 60 feet, which is not very big. And but we have history panels on one wall depicting the history from 600 BC
Oh my.
up into the present. We have artifacts, all kinds of artifacts, date nails, telegraph keys, lanterns, timetables from the past. And
So, if it goes that far back, when was the first train
And where was it?
In 600 BC, there was in Greece, across the Isthmus of Corinth, it was a limestone wagonway, they called it, with grooves in the limestone so the wagons would follow that groove, and the grooves were like the rails.
Tracks.
Uh-huh.
Very
And then-
interesting.
Yeah. Then there was in 1535, the Hohenzollern Castle in Austria had an inclined railway where they would haul goods from the valley below up to the top of the mountain where their castle was. And
Interesting.
that is still being used today.
So I didn't realize that our trains went back that far. When I think of trains and the past, I think of maybe the trains that go through the mines before they built the railways
Right.
through.
Of course, in England,
In England, they've had trains for a long
they
time.
had trains before we did, of course. And some of our first locomotives came from England. In 1829 and 30, the first tracks were laid in this country. And they tried horsepower and wind power. Baltimore and Ohio tried using sails to move their trains, but that didn't work. They went to horses instead. And then soon after that, the steam locomotive was invented, and that took over after the horses.
Okay.
And of course, they used steam up into the early 1950s, and diesel locomotives came then.
So you have a lot of history in the museum there. Does somebody give a tour and go through the history with?
Well, we can do that, or people just looking around the museum will read the panels that we have set up.
Okay. And your train itself, the model, how big is the train model?
Well, we have three different layouts. N scale, which is the smallest one, not actually the smallest of the ones that we have, and that is 4 foot by 16 foot. We have O scale, which is Lionel, which is popular. They've been building trains since 1903, and we have Lionel set up, and that's 12 by 10 layout, and the HO layout is 28.5 by 11 feet. And we've got probably 300 feet of track on it.
Okay. So we're having the grand opening this Saturday, the 11th.
Right.
And what time is your ribbon cutting? You have
The
a ribbon
ribbon
cutting.
cutting will be at 9:30.
Okay, and then it's going to be open all day.
Be open all day till 5 o'clock. There will be free admission all day. We'll have a food vendor there, Dogs and Donuts from Golden Valley. They're going to be giving away free donut samples, and of course they have apparently hot dogs because they
Dogs and donuts.
Dogs and donuts.
So,
At 4 o'clock, or even a little earlier, we'll be drawing raffle prizes. We've been selling raffle tickets for the last month, and we have some awesome prizes. We have 2 certificates for 4 people each to go to the Grand Canyon Skywalk.
oh, wow.
We have 2 round-trip tickets from Williams to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. We have 2 round-trip tickets on Amtrak from here to Los Angeles.
Great.
And
So then they'll be able to buy raffle tickets if they get there early,
No.
because it's not going to be till in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we've run out of time. I'm going to thank you for being here.
Okay.
I want to thank my audience here on TV 57 Community Chest.